Over the past few weeks, I've found myself preaching on questions that are difficult to answer or even have conversations with people about. 2 weeks ago, I spoke on what prayer is. If God knows what we need before we ask, and He's going to do what's right no matter what, then why do we pray? And I'm not going to answer that question today. I did it 2 weeks ago. It's online. Go to our website. The sermon's right there. You can go back and watch that sermon. Last week I spoke on the question, why does God allow evil? If you had the power to stop it, you would. He has the power. Why doesn't He? So is He a loving God? So it's a tough question. It's a tough conversation to have with people. Again, I'm not going to answer that question today. I did that last week. If this is your first time here, you're like, wait a second, I wasn't here last week. That's okay. We brought last week to you. It's on your device. Just go to the sermon and click on the sermon of why does God allow evil, and you can get the answer to that. They're tough topics. They're tough topics to respond to. These topics aren't only designed to help us be able to communicate with these types of conversations that come up. That's why I'm not preaching them just because it helps with that, but it also helps us to combat false teachings with the truth of God's Word. If I preach on a message, if I preach on a topic that's difficult to even talk to somebody about and give the answer for that, it doesn't only make it so you can hold your end of the conversation, but it helps you grow and combat lies with truth. Today I want to talk about the elephant in the room. That's what I want to talk about. The term the elephant in the room refers to a topic nobody wants to talk about. We're all familiar with that. It's obvious that it needs to be addressed since it seems to be filling everything with its presence, but nobody wants to acknowledge it. That is the term. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's clearly taken up all the space here. Everybody knows it needs to be addressed, but nobody wants to talk about it. Well, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the elephant in the room. And if you find it offensive, I ask that you at least offer me enough grace to hear me out. I don't want to offend anyone. That's not my goal. The goal is to preach truth. And sometimes truth can be offensive. It can be. If somebody tells you something about yourself that you don't want to hear, it becomes offensive. That doesn't make it not true, it just makes the truth offensive. So I ask you, if you do get offended with what I'm saying today, would you please offer me enough grace to hear me out? That's all I ask. We don't even have to agree, but hear me out, please. The elephant that I'm referring to is the my truth versus your truth argument. Anybody heard of that yet? Because it's everywhere. It's the elephant in the room. My truth versus your truth. This is a popular mindset these days. What's true for you isn't necessarily true for me, and what's true for me isn't necessarily true for you. We all have heard that, but nobody's talking about it. We hear this all the time. What's true for you is not necessarily true for me, and what's true for me is not necessarily true for you. And what my question is that true? That's the elephant in the room. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this, but I want to approach it by using a story in the Bible that presents us with a very good question. So let's have a little fun trying to get into this conversation that nobody wants to have. In Exodus chapter 32, we have a story of what happened while Moses was up on the mountain receiving the Ten Commandments from the Lord. He goes up on Mount Sinai, he gets the Ten Commandments from the Lord. Meanwhile, down at the base of that mountain, the nation of Israel is growing a little impatient because he's been up there for quite some time. So you're like, okay, when's he coming back down? He didn't give us his itinerary. We can't call him. He's up on the mountain. Did he die? What's going on? We don't know what's happening to him up there. So they come up with a genius idea, as they often did. Israel, by the way, they never came up with a genius idea. Not one time that I know of. Unless it was, hey, let's go back to God. Let's focus on Him. That was a good idea. But Israel's not known for their genius ideas, but they come up with a genius idea here. Look at Exodus chapter 32 and verse 1. Now when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered together to Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us gods that shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." These are people who have been in Egyptian bondage their entire lives. Over 400 years, they've been there. One generation after another dies off. They're in Egyptian captivity. They grew up with Egyptian culture. They've grown up with Egyptian religious teachings. This is all they know. For generations, this is all they've been accustomed to. God brought them out of Egypt to make a people for himself. But instead of separating themselves from the beliefs of their captors, what they decide to do is incorporate those beliefs into their new lifestyle. Isn't that always a great idea? We've been suffering for all these years. Let's keep that. Let's just make that part of life now. So they take the beliefs and the culture and everything, and they say, let's incorporate that into what we have now. So they go to Moses' brother Aaron. They go to Aaron and propose this idea of making a god. Will you make us a god? Now Aaron has been by Moses' side through the 10 plagues of Egypt, through the Red Sea crossing. He's seen so many things. He's seen God reveal himself through his power, and he's now standing in front of the people that God has delivered from Egypt. You've got 2 million plus people standing in front of you. These are the people that walk through the Red Sea on dry land. These are the people that came out of the 10 plagues of Egypt. He gets to see that, and now he's standing in front of these people. This is Aaron's opportunity to stand up for the truth and tell the people that they need to wait on the Lord. But that's not what he does. Look at verse 2. And Aaron said to them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me. So all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them to Aaron. And he received the gold from their hand, and he fashioned it with an engraving tool, and made a molded calf. Then they said, this is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt. Right now, we don't have a lot of respect for this story. Okay, give me your earrings. I make a golden cow. This is the God that brought you out of the land of Egypt. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, that's very persuasive. I don't know that I could have been persuaded by that. I watched you make that, and that is the God who brought me out. That's impressive. I would think that we'd be on a different page, but 2 million people are like, wow, that's awesome. Wow. Instead of directing their attention back to the one true God, Aaron yields to their desire to make a god of their own making. This is exactly what they're looking for. Now they can worship from a heart of happiness because they now have a God that they created. Now this God can possess any characteristic they wanted to possess. What does the God believe? Let's tell it. Because we made it. It's a God of our own making. Who wouldn't want a God that approves of everything that we do? Wouldn't that be great? Who wouldn't want a God that we can define? I know I wouldn't, because I know the one true God, and by the way, he's amazing. I want that one. Why would you ever want anything else? I wouldn't want a God like this, but this is what they wanted, and this is what Aaron made for them. Look at verse 6 of chapter 32 here. Then they rose early on the next day, offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. This is one of the few times in the book of Exodus where the people of Israel are not grumbling. They're not complaining about anything. They are happy with their current situation. Finally, these people are happy. But on the other side of things, God is not happy. God's not happy with what he's seeing. And he sends Moses down to put an end to this idolatry. Look at what Aaron says to Moses when he's confronted about this golden calf thing. Look at verse 21. And Moses said to Aaron, what did this people do to you that you have brought so great a sin upon them? So Aaron said, do not let the anger of my Lord become hot. You know the people, that they are set on evil. Basically, Aaron tells Moses that these people are out of control. You know they're out of control. You know these guys are crazy. They're out of control. They have their hearts set on evil. Their hearts are not set on following God. They make their own rules and they fulfill their own desires. You know this about these people, Moses. You know that. But Moses wants to know why they're worshiping a piece of gold as their God. Where did they get it, Aaron? Where did they get this thing? So Aaron explains. Look at verse 23. For they said to me, make us gods that shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. And I said to them, whoever has any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and this calf came out. Sure did. You threw the earrings into the fire. What happened next? This golden calf walked out. Like, you buying it? That's all I got. The calf walked out. Now, I used to think that this was one of the most stupid lines of reasoning in the history of mankind. Like, that's all you had? That's all you had? You couldn't just point at another guy and blame him? No, this was the best you could come up with. Yeah, they gave me the earrings, and I threw them into the fire. And I was surprised too, Moses. This golden cow walked out. Like, you believe it? This is all Aaron's got. This is all he's not using any other defense. This is all he's got. I threw the gold in the fire, and out walked this calf, Moses. That's what happened. How in the world did Aaron think that this could even possibly be persuasive? Why did you use that? And then I realized that Aaron had seen some pretty incredible things happen in a short period of time. Aaron has seen things that can't be explained. He saw the 10 plagues fall on Egypt. He saw the sun darkened because of all those flies. And it was predicted to happen. I'm going to send flies. Okay, oh, look, there's flies. The water turned into blood. Oh my goodness, look what happened. He's seen, that's kind of impressive. He also saw an ocean part in two, so 2 million plus people could walk across on dry land with water heaped up on the right and on the left. That's kind of impressive. That's an impressive thing. He saw a pillar of cloud, which led the people by day, and he saw a pillar of fire that led the people by night. He even saw rods turn into snakes. He has seen some impressive stuff. Who's to say that a golden calf couldn't walk out of a fire? It's starting not to sound stupid anymore. Who's to say that couldn't happen? But when Moses saw everything that was going on, he told the people that they committed a great sin. Now here's my question. How did Moses know that Aaron wasn't telling a lie? How did he know? Couldn't God have just been revealing another plan to the people? Couldn't this just be another miracle? They've seen a lot of miracles. Moses wasn't there. He didn't see it. He didn't see it. Now, we all know that Aaron was lying because we have the scripture. We're like, yep, he was lying. Busted. But how did he get busted then? How did Moses know? How did Moses determine what was truth? These are the same kind of questions that we're asked today. How do you know what's true? My truth is my truth, and your truth is your truth. How do you know what truth is? What is truth? Somehow this has become a real issue in our society. Let me read a couple of things that are actually happening right now somewhere. Are aliens real? Is macroevolution an actual thing? Can a person change their gender? Is the Big Bang the best explanation for creation? Is there such thing as a multiverse? Is the earth flat? These are many things. These are conversations that are happening somewhere right now. All of these are believed as true by certain people all around the world. And who am I to tell them that they're wrong? Who am I to tell them that they're wrong? I don't create truth any more than they create truth. I don't create the truth. They don't create the truth. Who am I to tell them that they're wrong? Within churches, we have the same thing going on. Is Mary to be worshiped? Mary, the mother of Jesus, is she to be worshiped? Are we still sinners after God saves us from sin? He gets us out from it. Are we still sinners after he saves us from sin? Do we still need to ask God to forgive us even though he's already forgiven us 100% for all of our sins? Do we still need to ask him for forgiveness? Is tithing a biblical requirement for the New Testament church? Should we still try to keep the 10 Commandments? These are all great questions. And people believe that the answer is yes or no by using the same book. They're using the same Bible. In a world that has become divided at every turn, who determines what truth is? I could dismiss you right now, and you could just go figure that out. But the Bible does give us an answer, and it's important to get the answer. Years ago, I saw a video explaining how truth is only based on our perception of truth, okay? It's only based on your perception of truth. In other words, my truth can be different than your truth, okay? What's true for me might not be true for you, and what's true for you might not be true for me. And it was a fairly persuasive video, and it went something like this. There was a huge orange and green ball in the middle of a room. A person standing on the green side of the ball was asked, "What color is that ball?" And what did he say? It's green. Now the person on the orange side of the ball was asked, "What color is the ball?" And that person said, "It's orange." Were they being honest? Is this what they believed was true? Yes, absolutely. But then there was another guy who was looking at it from our perspective, just like you're seeing it right now. He was looking at it from our perspective, and he said, the ball is both orange and green. Now here's where the video took an interesting twist. From the back side of the ball, there was another man who saw that there were yellow lights shining on the ball, and that if those lights were taken away, we would see that the ball was actually blue and red. Well, that changes everything, doesn't it? Everyone in this scenario has a different view of what truth is. Everyone's being honest and truthful about what they see. And that is why the narrator of the video told us truth is relative. Do you see how it's different for you than it's different for me? They're all being honest. They're all telling the truth. Do you see how truth is relative? But there's still only one truth. There's still only one truth. The other things are perceptions. They're just perceptions. So what's the best way to find out what the truth is? Ask the creator of the ball. What color is that? It's blue and red. But he says it's green. That's not true. It's blue and red. But he said it was orange. It's not true. It's blue and red. That guy says it's green and orange. Yeah, it's not green or orange. It's blue and red. How do you know? Because I made the ball. I made the ball to be blue and red. That's the color of the ball. The video was designed to explain that truth is based on how someone sees it. But it just proved that perception is not necessarily truth at all. That is the only thing it proved. The light did not change the truth, it disguised the truth. That's all that happened with the light. It disguised the truth. This is exactly what's going on in real life every single day. This is what's happening in this generation. Satan doesn't want anyone to know the truth about God. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 3. But even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing, whose minds the God of this age has blinded, who do not believe, lest the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine on them. The goal is to keep people asking this question: what is really true? If the lost continue doubting that the truth can be known, they will never discover the truth. That's a good plan. If you always doubt that something's true, then you'll never know what's true. Keep them blinded so they don't learn the truth. It's a good plan. It's a very good plan. Secular philosophers get involved in this topic all the time. You want to watch some boring videos, look up one of those. Philosophers trying to explain the deep things about truth. And it's like, get a cup of coffee and watch one of those. Get a pot of coffee and watch one of those. I think most of us are familiar with the 6 blind men and the elephant parable story. I think we're all familiar with that. This is how it goes. 6 blind men come up to an elephant and they begin to describe what they sense when they come up to the elephant. Well, the first one grabs the tail and says, I think I found a rope. Another blind man grabs the trunk and he says, no, this is a snake. This is definitely a snake. The third one grabs the leg and he says, guys, this is a tree. I found a tree. The fourth one grabs the tusk and he says, what are you guys thinking? This is a spear. We found a spear. The fifth one grabs the ear and he says, no, this is a fan. This is definitely a fan. And the sixth one feels the side of the elephant and he says, guys, this is a wall. We found a wall. This is how philosophers explain the religions of the world. This is how they tell you about the religions of the world. They say that no religion can be true because they are just explaining God from their own perspective. Atheists say there is no God. Christians say there is a God. Hindu, Buddhist, whatever you want to put out there, they view things differently. So how can we know what's true and what's not true? They say no religion can be true because everybody is just looking at it from their own perspective. But there is one perspective that's being left out. The blind men should be talking to the guy who's telling the parable. Have we forgot about that guy? Somehow he knows there's an elephant in the room. The guy telling the parable sees the whole picture. Or where did we get the parable from? Somebody knows the whole picture. So let's go back. How did Moses know that Aaron wasn't telling the truth? How did he know? He had a standard to go by. He knew somebody that saw the whole picture. He understood this. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 33. Did any people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard and live? Or did God ever try to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of another nation, by trials, by signs, by wonders, by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your eyes? To you it was shown that you might know that the Lord himself is God, and there is none other beside him. The same God who spoke to Moses from a burning bush, revealed himself through the plagues of Egypt, and divided the Red Sea, said, there are no other gods but me. I am the only God. Therefore, Moses knew the golden calf did not walk out of that fire, and Aaron was lying. Moses had evidence that God was God. He's seen the evidence. Only God could have performed the miracles that occurred. And at the same time, God has kept his word every step of the way. God was true. God tells the truth. God is true. And Moses was confident when he used God's character as the standard. I have a standard, and I'm bouncing everything off of that standard, so I know your cow didn't walk out of the fire. And I know you're lying to me. Well, that's your truth. No, that's the truth. That's the truth. My truth is, no, you don't have a truth and I don't have a truth. There is truth. You don't get your own flavor of it, and I don't get my own flavor of it. Truth is truth. I'm going to give you an illustration that has happened to me several times. I don't know why this keeps happening to me, but it happens to me. Maybe it's happened to you too. Imagine that I'm parked on an uphill. I'm parked facing uphill. And two cars pull up to me, and they're parked uphill next to me. They're both sitting next to me. And I'm sitting there playing on my phone or reading a book or whatever. And both of those cars start to move forward at the same time. What do? I drop my phone, I drop my book, whatever I'm doing, and I stomp on the brake. Then they're still moving forward. So now I understand. I've come up to a very good conclusion. My brakes don't work. Because I still feel like I'm rolling back, right? Maybe you've done that before. Maybe it's just sitting in a parking space. You're not even on a hill. And the car next to you just pulls forward. You're like, oh. You pulled forward. It really freaked me out when you did that. Not because they moved forward, but you thought you were moving backwards. Okay? Your perception was off, and we all understand that. Was it very real at the moment? It was very real. Very, very real. Were your brakes broken? Yes. Very real. My brakes don't work. Was it real? No. But the perception says this is very, very real. So what do I do at that point? What do I do when I still feel like I'm moving backwards and they're still moving forward? I stepped on my brake, I'm still moving backwards, I'm still freaking out. What do I do at that point to determine whether I'm going backwards or they're going forward? I look to something that's unmovable. I look for something that is stationary. If the tree is also moving backwards with me, then I know I'm not moving backwards. That tree's keeping up with me. Oh my goodness. Oh, that just means they're moving forward. That's all that means. All I have to do is look at something that is unmovable, a standard that is set, that is unchangeable and unmovable. And when I see that, I can base truth on that thing right there. Because it is not moving. It does not change. Truth, actual truth, is based on something that is constant. It is constant. If someone says that aliens exist, that a multi-universe is reality, that their gender can be changed, or that everything came into existence without God, ask them what they base that claim on. What do you base that on? Well, it's just what I think, or it's how I feel. See, feelings come and go, but facts never change. Facts are facts. You might feel that that is absolutely true. You may, and it may be so real that it actually feels like you're moving backwards. You are completely persuaded that what you have is truth. What are you basing that on? It's how I feel. Well, feelings come and go. Facts do not change. They do not change. It's being taught that truth is relative. But the statement that all truth is relative cannot be true. That cannot be true. Let's have a little bit of fun here. All truth is relative. Is that absolutely true? Or is that relative? Just asking. It cannot be true. If it includes itself, it means that the statement is not always true because the statement itself is relative. And if it excludes itself, all truth is relative. If it excludes itself, it stands as an absolute, therefore being the evidence that absolute truth does exist. The statement itself has a problem. There can't be your truth and my truth. Is that true? I guess it can't be. Because if it includes itself, it can't be true, and if it excludes itself, it can't be true. The statement, what's true for you is not necessarily true for me, has the same issue. The question is that true for everyone? What's true for you is not true for me, and what's true for me isn't necessarily true for you. Is that true for everyone? Is that statement true for everyone? Just a question. If the statement, it's true for you, but not for me, is true for everybody, then it cannot be true because it's true for everybody and not just for you or me. And now we've got another problem, just with one simple statement. Not only that, but it doesn't work in reality either. I challenge anybody who believes that your truth is different than my truth is a valid argument. I challenge anybody to go to your banker and tell them that your truth is that you are a multi-billionaire and that you just want to withdraw $1 million from your account. Just go try it. And they're going to say, you don't have $1 million in your account. That's your truth. But my truth is that I am a billionaire, multi-billionaire, and I'm just asking for $1 million. I'll leave the rest in there. Just give me $1 million. And you have $6.03. I just want $1 million. How's that going to work out for you? It's not. They don't care what your truth is. They know what the truth is, and they're not going to, that can't be altered to fit your desire. It can't work that way. Truth has to be grounded in something that is factual and unchanging. And as Christians, we have that very thing. We have that very thing. Look at Malachi 3:6 and Hebrews 13:8. For I am the Lord, I do not change. Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. God is truth, and he came to this earth in the person of Jesus Christ to declare the truth about salvation to the world. I want you to know the truth. Mankind needs God. He has revealed himself through nature, and then he appeared in the person of Jesus Christ with this message right here. Look at this next verse, John 14 and verse 6. Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Something doesn't have to be believed in order to be true. It doesn't have to be believed in order to make it true. Something that is true for everyone on earth, whether they believe it or not. And it's true for everyone on earth at the same time. Now, this is going to sound like I'm lying, but I'm not, and you'll see here in a second. If I tell you right now that I am hungry, that is true for every person on the face of the earth right now. And you're like, hold on, that's not true because I'm not hungry. But my statement wasn't that you're hungry. The statement is that I am hungry. So Josh Covert is hungry is true for every person on the earth at the same time. Truth isn't different for you than it is for me. If it's true for everybody at the same time. Truth works this way for everything that is true, all the way across the board. If it's true for all of us. And you might say, well, that guy has a broken leg, but I don't have a broken leg. No, but that guy has a broken leg is true for you and him. Truth is true for everyone, all the way across the board, all the way. The truth about God and Jesus is also true for every person on the earth, whether they want to believe it or not. That is just the truth. That's the truth. They may disagree with you and they might not want it, but it doesn't change the fact that it is the truth. And it may sound foolish to the skeptic's ear, but it is still truth. And God knew that it was going to sound foolish to the skeptic's ear. He knew that. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 18. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For since in the wisdom of God, the world through wisdom did not know God, it pleased God through the foolishness of the message preached to save those who believe. Yes, what God's people believe sounds like foolishness to people who do not believe. That just sounds like foolishness. God knew it would. So what did he say? I'm going to use the foolishness of preaching. Is preaching foolish? No. But in the perspective of everybody else, it sounds like foolishness. So the wisdom of the world, I will make foolishness. And I will use this foolishness of preaching to reach those who will trust me and believe. I'm going to use this. But once people hear that there is an actual God who desperately loves them, often something starts to resonate because we all want that. We all want that. God called us to be disciples, not just believers. He says to go into all the world and make disciples, not believers. Isn't that interesting? I thought we were just supposed to tell everybody so they can believe, and our job was done, right? No. I want you to go into all the world and make disciples. Isn't that just a believer? No. Disciples make disciples. Disciples, that's what they do. Disciples make disciples. In order to do this, we must know the truth and be prepared to proclaim the truth. You have to be equipped with the truth. I have to be equipped with the truth. You can't just let the pastor do it all. Okay, that's the point. Well, I'll do what I can, but I can't do what you can because I don't know the people you know. We have had so many visitors coming into our church for almost 2 months now. Every week we have new people walking in the door. People that I've never met I didn't know them a day in my life. Now I know you. Now I've been introduced to you, but I didn't even know you existed until today or the day that you showed up. So that means somebody was able to do something I wasn't able to do. You can't put all the pressure on the pastor. That's your job. That's our job. That's our job. It's not just to be believers, but it's to be disciples, which means you have to be prepared. You have to be ready with an answer to help people who are struggling. Christians are oftentimes afraid to say it, and unbelievers are oftentimes unwilling to hear it. They don't want to hear it. But someone needs to stop. They need to step up and talk about the elephant in the room. Somebody's going to have to do that. Somebody needs to bring up the issue. Somebody needs to talk about this. There is a God. He did send Jesus Christ to save us, and the truth is absolute. That is the truth. That is the truth. Don't just be a person who goes to church and listens. Don't just be that person. Be someone who dives in and is prepared to talk about the elephant in the room. That's your job. That's my job. You don't have to be some great philosopher either, but you can always ask a person what they base their claim on. And now you have the beginning of a conversation. What do you base that on? Feelings? Feelings change. What is the truth that you base that on? Truth is unmovable, and it's true for everybody all at the same time. So what truth do you base your claim on? Now you have a conversation. Now you can talk about the elephant in the room. Now we can move forward. Because you do have a truth that is unmovable and unchangeable. And it's true for everybody on the earth. You do have the message of the gospel. And it is solid. It's not going anywhere. It's not changing. What is the constant for your claim? Whatever the claim may be, what is the constant? What is that unmovable standard? Truth is not opinion or just how somebody perceives it. That doesn't make it truth. Truth is fact, and it's true for everyone, everywhere. God loves us and He wants a relationship with us. That's the truth, and it applies to every person on the earth. He loves you and He wants a relationship with you. I don't believe that. You know what? That doesn't change it. It's still true. He still loves you, and He still wants a relationship with you. Please go talk about the elephant in the room. All of us. Let's get out there and let's have these conversations. You've got to be prepared. And if you say, I don't know that I could carry that conversation, I don't know that I'm ready, then let's talk. I'll talk with you. Say, hey, I'm struggling, I've got this person. That happens all the time. People come to me and talk to me all the time about these things. And do I have the answer all the time? No. I'm not up here and everybody's down here. No, I'm here too. I'm trying, I'm growing, I'm learning just like you are all the time. I know things now, and I've learned things, and I've grown in areas that I wasn't at 2-3 years ago. I'm growing every day just like you are, but I'm willing to grow with you, so let's have the conversation. There are people out there that Satan has blinded to the truth, that there is a God who loves them and He wants a relationship with them. It's time to break through the barrier, and somebody needs to talk about the elephant in the room.